All right, let's dive right in to the forces at play in the consulting world in 2024. We're going to be unpacking some really interesting trends from the consultant channel.
Yeah, they do some great work, really helping consultants get ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Think of this deep dive as your playbook for staying ahead of the curve, not just for next year, but for 2025 and beyond.
Definitely. The landscape is shifting so fast, understanding the trends is more important than ever.
Couldn't agree more. So trend number one that they highlight is hybrid work, which, I mean, we all kind of saw coming, right? But what they really get at is the nuances of how it's impacting consultants specifically. It's not just, oh, work from anywhere.
Right. It's this almost like this paradox, right? You have all this flexibility, but then you have this whole other layer of how do you actually meet the client's needs in all these different settings?
Absolutely. Like, how do you navigate when a client is fully remote versus when they want that in-person connection?
Yeah, it's like consultants almost need to become chameleons, right? You have to adapt your expertise, but also your whole communication style, depending on who you're working with. Like, one day you might be on Zoom leading a virtual brainstorming session, the next you're facilitating an in-person workshop.
Exactly. It's almost like being bilingual, right?
Yeah.
You have to be fluent in the digital world and the physical world. It's not enough to just be an expert in your field anymore. You have to be an expert communicator across all these
Yeah,
different mediums.
definitely. So true. That brings us to another trend that's been, well, let's just say it's shaken things up this year. AI and automation. What are your thoughts on how these tools are changing the game for consultants?
Oh man, it's mind-blowing. We've gone from AI being this buzzword to it being like essential in a consultant's toolkit, like ChatGPT for generating content or data visualization software to make sense of mountains of data, or even predictive analytics to try to get ahead of future trends. It's wild.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the speed at which we can get insights from data now and how much more efficiently we can deliver value to clients is incredible. But I'm curious, where do you see the human element fitting in with all of this? Is there a risk of becoming too reliant on these tools?
That's the key point, right? The consultant channel really emphasizes that these tools are only as good as the person using them.
Right.
Like, what's the point of having this incredibly sophisticated AI if you don't have the expertise to interpret the data, to actually translate it into recommendations that make sense?
Totally. It's like having this high-powered sports car, but you don't know how to drive stick. You need the human element, the experience, the judgment, to actually connect the dots. And that's what clients are paying for.
Yeah, exactly. AI becomes this ally, not a replacement. It's about finding that sweet spot between human intelligence and artificial intelligence.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's like finding that synergy between those two things. And it's funny because that actually leads right into the next trend, which really speaks to the human touch in all of this. This rise of niche specialization. Clients aren't looking for generalists anymore. They want experts in specific areas.
It's so true. Like, if I'm facing this super complex challenge with, say, sustainable supply chain management, I don't want just anyone. I want someone who understands the ins and outs of that world, someone who can speak the language, who understands the regulations, the trends.
Right. They want someone who gets their unique pain points, right? Who can give them solutions that go beyond this generic advice that are actually tailored to them.
Yeah. It's the difference between going to your general practitioner versus going to a specialist, right?
Yeah.
When you have something specific, you need someone who's dedicated their whole career to understanding those nuances.
Exactly. And we're seeing this in every sector: sustainability, healthcare technology, finance, you name it. Clients are demanding that deep, deep expertise, and they're willing to pay for it.
That's so interesting. So what would you say to someone listening to this right now who's like, okay, I'm in this evolving landscape. How do I stand out?
If you want to be in demand, if you want to be able to command a premium, now is the time to go all in on your chosen field. Develop that reputation as the go-to expert. Own that niche. You will be in high demand. There's no doubt about it.
So specialization is the key. All right, we've talked about hybrid work, AI, and this need for specialists. What's next on the consultant channels list? What other trends are they highlighting?
Well, this one might sound a little, I don't know, old school in this tech-driven world, but it's more crucial than ever. Building strong client relationships.
It's interesting because with all this talk about AI and automation, it's easy to forget that consulting is fundamentally about building trust with your clients. It's about understanding their needs, their fears, their aspirations. It's about being a partner in their success. And that all comes down to relationships.
Right, it's human connection. And that foundation of trust is more important than ever. It's about actively listening to your clients, making sure you're over communicating, and always following through on your promises.
So true. It's about being proactive, being responsive, being genuinely invested in their success. That's something AI can't replicate, no matter how sophisticated it gets.
You got it. And remember, your reputation as a consultant, that's your most valuable asset. And that reputation is built on these strong, trusting client relationships.
That reminds me of that saying, people might forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Mm.
And in consulting, that emotional connection, that sense of trust, that's what separates the good from the great.
Well said. That brings us to the final trend highlighted by the Consultant Channel, and it's all about amplifying that human connection in this digital age. Personal branding.
It's fascinating how the digital world has given consultants this incredible opportunity to showcase their expertise and build a personal brand that really resonates with potential clients.
It's a total game changer. Consultants aren't stuck in the boardroom anymore. They're using platforms like LinkedIn, they're doing podcasts, even creating online courses, all to share their knowledge and build a following.
Yeah, it's about stepping into the spotlight and owning your expertise. And it's not just about self-promotion, it's about building a community, adding value to the conversation, and attracting the right clients.
It's about becoming that thought leader in your field, the person that people look to for insights. And that can open up so many doors.
This has been such a great overview of these trends. You've given us so much to think about. But I'm curious, what would you say is the most important takeaway for our listeners today? What advice would you give them for succeeding in this ever-changing consulting world?
I'd say go into this new era with a growth mindset. These trends are opportunities. They're a chance to redefine your value proposition and enhance your skill set. Don't be afraid of the changes.
It's about staying curious, being adaptable, and constantly learning new things.
Exactly. The landscape is constantly shifting, and the most successful consultants will be the ones who embrace the change, invest in themselves, and always keep looking for new ways to add value to their clients.
You know, as we were talking about personal branding in the last part, it really struck me how that's so connected to this whole hybrid work thing. It's almost like now that we're not always face-to-face, it's even more important for consultants to have this strong online presence.
Oh, absolutely. It's so true. It's like our online presence is your handshake in the digital world. It's often the first impression potential clients are going to have of you.
It is. It's like your digital storefront. You're showcasing your expertise, even your personality, before you ever even step foot, or I guess log in, to a virtual meeting. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on how consultants can really leverage personal branding in this hybrid world?
Well, I think the first thing is to be really strategic about it. You have to think about it. What platforms are your ideal clients using? Are they on LinkedIn? Do they listen to podcasts? You have to understand your audience.
You have to meet them where they are. You can't just be everywhere, right? You have to focus on the channels that make the most sense.
Exactly. And once you figure that out, then it's all about consistently sharing valuable content that showcases your thought leadership.
And that content can take so many forms.
Yeah.
Right? It could be articles, videos, even just asking thought-provoking questions on social media that get people talking. It's about adding value, becoming that voice that people trust in your field.
Totally. And don't be afraid to let your personality come through. Be authentic. People want to connect with a real person, not just a brand.
Right. Humanize your brand. Share your story, your unique perspective.
Exactly. And personal branding isn't a one-time thing either. It's about showing up consistently, engaging with people, building those relationships over time.
It's a long game, for sure. Okay, I want to shift gears a little bit and circle back to something we touched on earlier, AI and automation. It's fascinating to think about how consultants can use those tools not just to be more productive, but also to deliver even more value to their clients.
It's a really exciting time. You think about how AI can analyze these massive data sets, identify patterns, find insights that humans just couldn't do manually. It's incredible.
It's like having a super-powered research assistant working around the clock. It frees you up to focus on those higher-level tasks that require human expertise, the strategy, the creative problem-solving.
Exactly. AI takes care of the routine stuff so you can focus on what you do best. Applying your expertise, your judgment to actually guide the client to success.
It's that force multiplier effect. It's not replacing you, it's making you better. So what are some practical ways that you're seeing consultants using AI? Are there any specific tools or techniques out there that people should be aware of?
Well, one area where AI is really having a huge impact is in data analysis and visualization. Tools like Tableau and Power BI, they're letting consultants create these interactive dashboards that basically turn raw data into stories. You can track KPIs, identify trends, communicate complex information in a really clear visual way.
You're making the data tell a story. It's not just a spreadsheet anymore. It's something that clients can actually understand and use to make decisions.
Exactly. And another area where AI is incredibly valuable is automating those everyday tasks, like scheduling, generating reports, even transcribing interviews. There are tools that can handle all of that so you can focus your energy on those higher value things.
It's about reclaiming those hours that get lost in the minutia. Instead of doing busy work, you can spend more time on strategic planning, relationship building, the stuff that really matters.
Absolutely. And this brings us back to a common theme we've been talking about, that human element. AI is getting more sophisticated every day, but it's never going to replace human expertise, creativity, empathy.
It's about finding that balance between leveraging technology and what makes us human.
Bro.
Our intuition, our ability to connect with people, our ability to come up with those outside-the-box solutions.
Couldn't have said it better. And this leads perfectly into our final segment where we're going to look at how all these trends, hybrid work, AI, specialization, relationship building, personal branding, how do they all fit together? What's the roadmap for success?
All right, so we're back, and I feel like we've been on this whirlwind tour of the future of consulting, right? Hybrid work, AI, this need to specialize. And then woven through all of that are these core principles of strong client relationships and personal branding. So as we think about the consultant of tomorrow, what does it all mean?
Well, I think it comes down to embracing this new mindset, one that sees these trends not in isolation, but as these interconnected opportunities. The consultants who can adapt, who are tech savvy, and who, really get that human element, those are the ones that are going to thrive.
I love that interconnectedness. Like we were just talking about how hybrid work makes communication so much more challenging. But then wouldn't you say that personal branding becomes even more important in that context? When you're not always face-to-face, you have to project your expertise, your personality, even more.
100%. It's like your online presence is your first impression. It's your handshake in the digital world.
It's your digital storefront.
Yeah.
And it's not just about having a good LinkedIn profile. It's about creating content that really showcases who you are, what makes you different.
Right. And engaging with people, having those conversations, building a community.
So hybrid work almost forces you to become a thought leader, to put yourself out there. And then that ties back to specialization, right? The more niche your expertise is, the more valuable your thought leadership becomes in that area.
Exactly. It's like finding that sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
Where your passion and your expertise and what the market needs all come together. And your personal brand is how you attract those clients who are specifically looking for what you offer.
And then you layer in AI. I mean, AI could be this incredible tool to help consultants be more efficient so they can focus on those high-value tasks, those things that really require a human touch.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. AI can automate so much of what we do. Research, reports, even analyzing data to identify trends and opportunities. It frees you up to do the strategic thinking, the creative problem solving.
AI is like this silent partner, right? Amplifying your abilities so you can operate at a higher level. But I keep coming back to that human element. It just seems like no matter how smart AI gets, it can't replace that.
No, you're right. At the end of the day, consulting is about connection, understanding the client, building trust, being that guide through complex challenges. AI can help you do all of that better, but it can't replicate that empathy, that intuition that a human brings.
So it really is about finding that synergy. AI is the tool, but it's the human element that will always be at the core.
That's it. The future of consulting is for those who can embrace the technology and that human connection.
Okay, so as we wrap up, what's the one thing you would leave our listeners with? What's the most important piece of advice for navigating this new world?
Embrace change. Be open to learning new things. This industry is evolving so rapidly. The only way to succeed is to be adaptable, curious, and willing to constantly grow. Invest in your skills, build those strong relationships, and create a personal brand that really showcases your value.
And remember, see these trends as opportunities. They're a chance to redefine what it means to be a consultant.
Exactly. The future is bright. The need for expertise, for strategic guidance, it's only going to increase. And by embracing these changes, you can have an incredibly fulfilling and impactful career.
This has been such a great conversation. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the future of consulting. We hope you found it valuable and that you feel inspired and ready to take on whatever comes next. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.